Wow. You know I had to make a post-fight video about this, right? You know I had to make a post-fight video about this. A lot of people were hyping up this fight. It was a big deal fight. Two of the best middleweights fighting. And it finally went down. Unification fight. Daniel Jacobs lost the fight. And you know what? I can't argue with that. Because, the first 5 to 6 rounds, it was a one-sided fight. The first 5 rounds, Daniel Jacobs looked like a deer in headlights. Like, he looked like he was clueless. He didn't know what to do. Canelo Alverez was showing off his defensive skills. Like, his upper body movement is very underrated. Canelo Alverez was evading literally 90% of Jacobs' punches. He was just slipping and sliding. He looked really good in the first 5 rounds. He was just slipping the punches, and he was landing. He was the one coming forward. Jacob was being the boxer. Canelo Alvarez was applying the pressure. He was coming forward, letting his hands go, and every shot that Jacobs was throwing, Canelo Alvarez would just slip. So he was really fresh in the first couple of rounds, and I thought this was easy work. I was telling myself, bro, I gave the first 6 rounds to SAUL Canelo Alverez. It's a wrap. But then, out of nowhere, and I was angry at Jacobs. I was like, dude, you gotta. Jacobs looked like he was 3 divisions bigger than Canelo Alverez. Canelo Alverez looked like he was a middleweight. Jacobs looked like he was a freaking cruiserweight. He was so much bigger than him, but for somehow, some way, SAUL Canelo Alverez was bullying him. I didn't like that. I was like, dude, you're so much bigger than him. You're letting SAUL Canelo Alverez, a little guy, a guy who's 5'7", you're 6'1", bully you. But finally, in like round 7, that was the fight where Daniel Jacobs basically woke up and he started being way more aggressive. He landed a crazy like hook, and in the middle of an exchange when he was in the corner, and they like literally snapped Canelo's head back. But Canelo Alvarez just ate that like M&Ms. It was like the same punch that Canelo Alvarez threw against Gennady Golovkin, Triple G, GGG, and remember that epic punch where Gennady Golovkin just ate it and he kept coming forward? That was literally the same punch that Canelo Alvarez received against Daniel Jacobs, the Miracle Man. I just felt that, bro, you can't do that. Like, this is what I can't stand when fighters fight SAUL Canelo Alvarez. You cannot expect to give away the first half of the fight and then try and win the second half and then win a decision against Canelo Alvarez. It's not going to happen. That's basically what happened here. It looked like the first half of the fight, Daniel Jacobs was just like trying to let Canelo Alvarez tire himself out. I think that was his game plan. I think his game plan was to tire Canelo Alvarez out. And then in the second half, start applying the pressure because he knows Canelo is exhausted. But the thing is, you can't do that against Canelo Alvarez. This guy, they will never give you the decision over Canelo Alvarez in a close fight. I think the game plan for Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs was to finally pick up the pace against Canelo Alvarez in the second half of the fight. And, he had some success. But even though I thought Canelo Alvarez was still landing, and to be honest with you guys, I thought Canelo Alvarez won the fight. Daniel Jacobs, in my opinion, he did relatively well against Canelo Alvarez in the second half of the fight, but he just wasn't urgent enough, and he started way too late. He should have fought the way he fought in the second half of the fight in the first half of the fight. It would have made it, and throughout the entire fight, throughout the entire 12 rounds, it would have made it way more competitive. But Daniel Jacobs just didn't do that. He just was too busy, trying to, I don't know, he just looked like he wasn't willing to exchange. He was not fighting with urgency. Even his trainer, I felt bad for like Carl Froch. I watched the Sky Sports version of it, the commentary, and Carl Froch kept saying, man, Daniel Jacobs just has to let his hands go, throw punches and combinations. And, because the thing about Carl Froch, in his prime, that's what he did. Carl Froch would apply the pressure. He knew how to apply the pressure. And I, as I was watching this fight, I was thinking to myself, man, I wish Daniel Jacobs could become Carl Froch for the second half of this fight, because Carl Froch would have been letting his hands go against SAUL Canelo Alvarez. This just goes to show me how good SAUL Canelo Alvarez is. A lot of people before the Charlos brothers before Charlos, one of the Charlo brothers lost to Tony Harrison, before the other guy got a gift decision against that dude that I thought he lost against, a lot of people were saying, oh, the Charlo brothers would just destroy Canelo Alvarez. This is easy work. No, man. Canelo Alvarez has a really good chin. This guy's chin is incredible. I mean, this guy takes punches. He's been in there with guys like Triple G, Danny Jacobs, both are monster punches, and he makes them look bad. That just shows you the quality of SAUL Canelo Alvarez. He's a really good fighter. He's a really good fighter. And there's no way in hell I could see freaking the Charlo brothers just running through Canelo Alvarez. The Charlo brothers don't have the experience that he has. I would love to see the fight, but he's not gonna just run through this guy as people proclaim. This was like I said, a fight of two halves. The first half, all Canelo Alvarez. The second half, it was more competitive. You could have given some rounds to Daniel Jacobs, but I actually agree with the decision this time. I think the SAUL Canelo Alvarez definitely beat Daniel Jacobs. He was just the aggressor. He was landing the better shots. He was the better boxer. Funny enough, Daniel Jacobs was saying that he was going to use African style against SAUL Canelo Alvarez, but he was getting outboxed. I thought SAUL Canelo Alvarez was dominating, especially in the first half of this fight. But like I said, I think he tired in the second half, and that's why Daniel Jacobs took advantage of that and he started applying more pressure. But yeah, this was a competitive fight only for the second half of the fight. The first half was all one-sided for SAUL Canelo Alvarez. SAUL Canelo Alvarez is a good fighter. Daniel Jacobs is a good fighter, but that just shows you how good SAUL Canelo Alvarez is. Now SAUL Canelo Alvarez has basically fought all the top guys at middleweight. Well, Gennady Golovkin, everybody was begging him to fight. Daniel Jacobs, it happened. The only other guys at middleweight that I would want to see him fight is who is it? Jamal or Jamel? I was confused with these dudes. I want to see him fight one of those guys because there's a bunch of people who think that Canelo Alvarez is afraid of these guys, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I would want to see him face one of those guys, because he basically beat the two other top elite middleweights, which is GGG and Daniel Jacobs. So that's the only other guy that I would want to see him in there against, because everybody's begging him to see that fight, to fight him. They want to see him fight, the Lion Dance, whatever, the Charlo brothers. So let's see it happen, and then if he beats the Jamel Charlo, then everybody could stay quiet and stop acting like he's ducking the Charlo brothers. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, and I'm out.